Yeah, thank you very much, everyone, for joining. It's a very special time because, I'm trying, person that's always keeping it quiet, just building. Um, and thank you, Cindy, for recognizing what's been built and tested and working, and now, helping to introduce it to the other people. Anyway, a little bit about me. I came to the United States. I was 22 years old. I came on a student visa to study. I didn't really have a, penny on my name. I just had a dream. And then I was basically put in a situation where I had to figure things out. Basically, arrival to, to America, and then establishing myself and building a business. I just didn't have a luxury of listening to all the no's around me. So my brain, even earlier, I just had to be always focused on the solution. It's like I never took no for an answer. It's just if there is a problem, there gotta be a solution. And if you have a dream that it's possible to solve something, like don't waste time, just get to work basically. And then with that mindset, I've previously built a big franchise, international franchise, $30 million business. It had to do with chocolate. Just again, while being on a student visa, then work visa, I didn't even have my green card while doing all of this thing. Had too many responsibilities because my focal point was how to make it happen. It's not like, oh, it's not going to work. Look how many people don't do it, or look how many people don't see that it's possibility. The bottom line, I just said, I don't care what you think and what you don't think. I see it, and I need to put my, work, my time, everything where I see the solution. What is the worst thing that will happen, right? And usually with that mindset, I was able to accomplish amazing things. Like 7, 8 years later, after joining this company as a floor employee, I became the CEO of this company. It was a pretty interesting story. But then by the age of 35, I was just, okay, that mindset seems to be serving me well. Now what? And I saw around a lot of people that were focusing on problems instead of focusing on the solutions. And I was just like, wait a second, the whole world seems to be so many people there, just was such a talented people, brilliant in so many different ways. What if there would be a place that, um, sorry, I'm just like a little emotional about saying this. What if there would be a place, is there a place really that gets people together like this with all the dreams and ideas and in a very like methodical way and simple way? And even though it's unusual, but who cares about unusual? Like nothing is unusual about me or what I was doing. It just has to work. It has to be practical. It has to really be realistic. It has to be manageable and attainable for any particular, like any real situation. And therefore, and then started asking people, is like, what is that? What is that your dream? But then, kind of, what stops you from doing the dream? And then I realized that people have the same. Um, while having terrific, great dreams or the better world or better businesses or better communities or betterment of the society and so on, there are like often self-imposed limitations. And I was thought, okay, if there would be a platform that helps each and every one of us, everything that we're focusing, that we don't have time or money or people or skills, I basically took all of those reasons, and they're very valid reasons in our heads often why we're not growing. But then, and then I said, okay, if this is the reality, we need to try to do something with the reality. So the idea was to take all of the dreams and to destroy really all of the, I call them excuses, and see under normal circumstances what would be the ways for people to start growing individually and growing the business. The first step, if we really want to accomplish something in the world, we really need to understand who we are. First and foremost for ourselves. We really need to understand how do we show up in the world. Because a lot of us is like, I want to start a business, I want to get a job. We're like rushing into this thing, filling out those applications, trying to get something, and so on and so forth. But the first thing, and it doesn't have to take a lifetime because we're evolving anyway. But for this given moment, it's very important to take an hour, 2 hours, like weekend really. That's at most that you really need to truly, and the platform basically walks you through and I'm just giving the, the ludicrous amounts of time here, because to fill out the profile maybe will take you, 30, 40 minutes, really the basic thing. I'm just giving the worst case scenarios. But how do we show up in the world? How do we want to be associated with other people? Why other people should like pick up the phone and call, hey, Simon, I have a problem. Can you help me with this? Or hey, Jesse, in this instance, or Cindy or Emily, anybody on this call. It's very important. And I think we often, oh, let me just fill out. It's just a profile. And of course, because like LinkedIn taught us to just put whatever, fake it till you make it, and all sorts of things like that. But now the system is already, we have a faking system that's working with fake profiles. That's why the whole nothing seems to be really working well. So the idea with WeCo was, forget the way things work. It's, let's try to imagine things how we would love them to work, how we would love. Just try to really take a second and think how we would love them to be. We would love to do what we love to do, like what we like to do, basically work on our passions, work on things that we enjoy. We would love to be surrounded by great people that help us to grow. We would love to make, equitable amounts of money so we can afford, our work-life balance. We would like to create value. We'd like to live our purpose. This is what we would like to do. But the current kind of platform systems, they just kind of continuum of the things that don't work. They reflect the system that don't work. Let me forget that part and focus on WeCo now. So I just want to make this explicit contrast that everything about WeCo is everything is how I've interviewed hundreds and thousands of people, really, of different things personally, just to really comprise what we want to do. That's why it's universally applicable today. So what we would like to do first is about me. What is that I love? I want to know myself. What is that I love before even anything? So here in Jesse, I love designing brands, publications, campaign. Jesse, if any of this represents you, I'm really apologize for this, but the idea was to, again, use your public information, and we can, of
It's
course,
pretty fair. It's a pretty fair assessment.
and you can always change it. It's easy to change. You just click on the little pencil, you'll be able to change it in a second. And so I love designing brands. I help with. Now it's very important. Let's be honest here. We're all turning to each other for value, especially when it comes to work, when it comes to business. Value is what we're specifically looking for. Value, like how this person can actually help me. Forget the conversations and Zooms and coffees and everything, because it's important to understand, okay, how this person can help me in my career business. So therefore, we're stressing that about me, a couple, sentences about what you love to do, just to know you as a person, and then what do you think you can help people with? Because nobody has time, has a lot of time to, when we're like networking or whatever, just like, tell me about what you do, and then you have a conversation for an hour just to realize that that person is not a good match altogether. But an hour went by, and then what I'm looking for, it's also important, what is that person is looking for? Can I help that person somehow to in their growth, in there? So this is already kind of creates this very um, instant sort of immediate somewhat of a match. Then the next thing, what is that person, what I, and I'm just like, what, let me just talk about like myself, what I care about. Like, again, think everyone for yourselves. What is that? We have quite a few causes that you don't even need to think exactly. You can go through the list of like drop down list and see, do you care about aesthetic environment, animal rights, politics, ethics and morality, care for. So basically, instead of complaining about the things that are, in the news, how bad they are, it's like, how about you? You just listed a little bit about yourself and hear about the causes that you care for. If you really care about those causes, especially in this call, we're talking about solutionaries, right? I love this terminology. Thank you, Cindy. I'm going to use it if you don't mind. Solutionary is really so, like, nobody needs us perpetuating the problems. Is that let's us individually indicate things that we care for, the causes that are important to us, so at least we declare them, and other people that basically we come across, they immediately know, oh yeah, it's also important for me, aesthetic environment and collaboration, meaningful art. I'm actually putting my energy not on perpetuating the problems, but creating and working on solution, and basically creating, manifesting the things I wish existed. Because if it's not me, who's going to do it? If everybody's going to complain, what is the world that we're going to live in? So, and then of course the passions, the growth here, fast-paced environment, design, storytelling. We all have individual passions, so it's important to declare, this is what I like, this is what I care for, this is what I enjoy doing. So these are very easily adjustable. These are kind of standard things. The profile, you just sort of introduce your personal side of you. Okay, and then of course location. You can do the remote. Languages that you speak, context, social media links, and so on. So have basically a good understanding of who Jesse is, who the person is. Again, thank you, Jesse, for volunteering. Really appreciate it. Um, and so the next thing we move on in the platform is the skills. Now, it's interesting the way we've organized the skills. From my very extensive experience of really developing franchises, we have about 200, had 232 licenses and franchises all over the globe, like in 56 countries. And I've started spotting some trends that really, while businesses are kind of seemingly all different, structurally they're all the same. At least that's the patterns that I was able to detect. They all have, and pay attention, please, because this infinity, which is also happens to be part of our logo, everything is very intentional here with a lot of depth, and again, to make it may not be conventional, but it's simple once you understand how it actually works. So every color represents the department of any business. That's really how it works. You click on this, is ideation. Ideation is it's just the concept of generating the ideas. Again, some people love generating ideas, other people don't have any ideas, but it's a necessary concept, necessary department of any business. It has to start with ideas and other ideas. Now, for the ease of use, we've or even suggesting some of the roles, so anybody can now just like, oh, okay, so let me package what now I like and want to do. Let me just flip through those roles and see if any of those roles, the skills actually fit me. And if they are, I don't want to, you can always jump on and kind of go through the individual ones. If I like any one of them, I can just simply click plus, and they become already part of my profile. Now I'm basically, instead of a resume, which is like a very one-sided, uh, skewed version of what it now used to be, but the world primarily doesn't care what it used to be. The world wants the value today. So it's like, okay, these are the roles that I can do today. If I don't like something about this, I can always edit. I can, adjust the skills required and so on, so forth. If I like another role, I edit it as well. If I don't like any of this, but I think of something else, these are all standard roles. Again, usually people don't add any. So, but if I want to add another role, I can always click on the role, add role, create my own, and it will save and it will show the role. Now, it's also we have, for somebody who doesn't know kind of which department I even want to be, like maybe I want to try something else, I'm confused. We've created WeCompatibility test. It's a very easy 32 questions, very simple questions. No, it doesn't require really any special knowledge, because the idea, especially right now, the world and the economy often forces us to reinvent ourselves. Um, the beauty of those roles and departments and how everything is constructed, it more goes back into our innate abilities, because the learning curve today through the artificial intelligence and the YouTubes and everything, all the resources and learning resources that are available, that for somebody who has innate abilities or innate talents to learn something, they would usually learn it much better, much faster, and actually start applying it in WeCo, by just indicating those roles and offering those skills. That could be the starting point. So again, please, I'm just going to make a pause here. There is a difference between what I have been doing for 20 years and I hate it, to something that I kind of would love to explore, but I never kind of get around to start. This would be the perfect thing. And it could be within the business itself, because business requires a lot of roles, a lot of functionalities. So WeCo helps you, among other things, to recalibrate what is the value you're bringing, let's say if it's your business, to your own business or to someone else's. This is such a perfect opportunity to really erase what it has been, or at least take the best from the past and say, okay, what would be my newly imagined professional identity that could be actually relevant today? And it doesn't have to be in one industry, and it doesn't have to be in just one role, and it doesn't have to be in one place, because the world is different, because everything's kind of a lot of boundaries getting very like erased, and we have to reinvent yourself. We have to reinvent the way we collaborate. So Cindy, we're going through a compatibility test.
Don't know if we have time to go through the whole
Okay.
test. Could you
Okay.
go back up though to the infinity symbol and click on the other areas so
So
people can
basically,
see what
yeah.
those are?
So you guys, you can check it out. It's again 32 questions. It will show to you from the top to bottom all those 8 departments, how your specific character really, for which departments are suggested based on your innate abilities. Again, it's very important. And a lot of people say, yeah, you know what? Yeah, many people have told me that I'm good at that, although like I never start. But comes to think about this, yeah, I'm already doing it, like budgeting for my house. Like I'm already doing organization, even though it hasn't been my work, but like I do it and do it well. I just never knew that you can turn it into a role. So
Yeah.
now, okay, uh, going back to other departments. So it starts with ideation, and as I'm going to go through each of them, think of those that you like to do, and of those that is like, oh, I wish somebody else would come to do it for me. Please mute yourself there. So strategy, that's the next one. Now that you have a bunch of ideas, the next department is strategies. Which ideas do you select? How you align them? How to actually create the plan? What has to be kind of the path going forward? A week, a month. Right now, the planning shrunk from years to probably days. If a week. So next one, of course, is the marketing. Who will be consuming what you're in? And this is again relevant for every business, every project. For it has to have consumers. It doesn't matter. It could be readers for the book. It could be listeners to the music. It could be watchers and followers for the YouTube channel, or you could be visitors of a restaurant. It's the same concept. It has to have consumers of the product that there. Finance, of course, everything has to be properly calculated, and each and every one of them. I'm just going to quickly, without going into details, each and every one of them has appropriate roles. So, and then going back to this, operations. Somebody has to put this all together, whatever that restaurant or YouTube channel, and it could be any business. It doesn't. It's universally created because it's been tried with number of different businesses, and it works. Technology, of course, this day and age, legal, all the contracts have to be in order, and the human resources, of course, right? So therefore, these are all 8 departments. Again, some of the things we like to do, other things we don't like to do. So think of this, and it's truly like the comparison. Think of it as just a puzzle. Just a puzzle that we're trying to create. So instead of think of your business today that, oh, it's like a black hole that I don't know even where to approach, think of that every project, it's already a complete puzzle once it's successful, And either you're assembling your own puzzle if you're launching your own business, or you're filling in one of those little puzzle pieces for someone else's. And if you really make yourself very clear of what puzzle you represent or how you're building, it just becomes really a game more than anything. It's really meant to be as fun because, and I'm just going to add it to the philosophical part of it, because work doesn't have to be demanding. It has to be an extension of our talents, extension of our dreams, extension of our abilities, extension of our curiosity. And amongst ourselves right here, Cindy, I'm going to pass on to you. Amongst ourselves, just I think we have a terrific collaboration because going into this, I've been building this for years, but again, it took Cindy to recognize what's being built and, and assemble such a great gathering here and for people to make time, which I deeply, deeply appreciate because it's all effort and something for me, it was a difficult kind of task for me to build the system, to conceptualize, everything. That's great. It's just part of the puzzle. Or Emily, who is helping in the background with technical things. It just, I don't need to worry about going into this thing. I just need to worry about my little piece of the puzzle. And it's such a joy when you just have to, you can like rely on a person who is like also passionate and also has the same vision of everything. It also wants to makes it better, and they can rely on you. You can rely on them. You merge your forces, and you bring whatever you want to fruition. And it doesn't matter. This is pretty ambitious project. The whole platform and everything technologically. And if we can do this, anything could be done, really. So and just one part of the before we move on to the next sort of part, and of course the compensation, because the question is like, oh, so how do you compensate people? So the idea is that, of course, we on the platform, at least for today, we don't really mandate the transactions, regulate the transactions of how people actually, formulate. But we give every person an ability to indicate what are the types of compensation. Again, you click on this, little pencil, and you can indicate money, services, accommodations, goods, however you, because some people are interested in barter, and so on and so forth. Again, this is like outside already of the platform, but at least it's one of the criteria how people can see, oh, if this business is paying me with just money, great, or they are not willing to pay with money, but they're willing with, I don't know, equity or goods, whatever. So different people decide for themselves what works. Same with investment. Jesse, for example, decides, you know what, if I see worthy idea, somebody else is building, I'm willing to introduce my, services of myself or my company to invest if that's kind of, again, Jesse, I'm not representing anything on your behalf. This is just for the testing purposes. If anything immediately needs adjustment, let's do it, because I really, the idea was just to use it as a test case to show how, like, with any person, anything, especially that you have a few different, businesses, my understanding, that's how it starts. Speaking of few different businesses, let me just go. There is a very clear distinction, and I think it's important. A lot of people previously associated themselves with their baby. This is my baby. My business is my baby, including yours truly previously. It's just like that's your identity. Now, to make it really better and to make it more functional and successful, the idea of WeCo is the founder, has their own identity, and projects, which could be unlimited amount of different businesses and projects that person either participates in or launches. They're like children. They have their own identity. So on that note, once you finish your profile, you can either go to like searching here. So the pointer, and I'll show how that works. Or you can basically launch your own project, or two or three or 100, however many you think. So same thing. I'm just going to much quicker go through the project, but it works kind of in a similar fashion. Project mission, basically the reason for this, why people have to join you and your team. Why do you even exist? What is the problem you're solving? What is your solution? And what is your next milestone? I want to clearly see that, like, I like your project. I like what you stand for. I like the causes that you're, that again, and what you, and, tags and so on. It just helps me, all the other stuff. Then, of course, the roles, same thing. I will show it to you exactly how the matching then works in a second. So the team, you don't even need to think who you need, what kind of roles, because the roles are already pre-populated for you. And if you don't like any of them, you can just say, you know what, I don't like I don't want anybody in this particular, let me just go into, I'm myself the best idea incubation manager. I don't need to be looking for that person. You just deactivate and it's done. That's it. And then you go to, that disappears from here, it disappears from the search. Your profile is not looking, people are not knocking on your door. Somebody who is searching for the role ID incubation manager, they're not going to show up at your doorpost this way. You do. If you want to, again, add who you're looking for, now it works amazing with even people in your existing network, because a lot of people come to business owners and say, how can I help you? Like, you're doing such a terrific job. So then you're in position, wait a second, where do I even begin? So let's cover that part real quick. Let's say Jesse now goes to, created a couple of projects here. Jesse goes and say, okay, let me see, for example, I'm looking for, let's say, I want to see how Cindy can help me in my, in my business. Let me show. I want to work with Cindy without spending an hour, in another Zoom and coffee. I mean, it's all fun and good, but if we're talking about the work time, let's actually get down to the, nitty gritty, how Cindy can specifically help. Okay, good. So I'm looking at Cindy's profile. I'm looking at the matches here. Cindy also cares about meaningful art and entertainment and improved lifestyle and collaboration. Wonderful. Let me just go through C and, okay, let's see it's in the skills. If you pay attention here, the same departments, they're blinking. So Cindy, says Jesse, right, can help me in multiple of different roles, because all those blinking icons, they indicate that there is a match. And sure enough, if you click on the thing, you see the matches. Oh, syndicate. That's really how we narrow down our collaboration, WeCo and Cindy and everything. I just went through the list and I said, oh, community builder, great, content manager, copywriter. Yeah, bring it on, because this is exactly what we're looking for. It was so easy. Instead of us, it's like, oh, let's try this and let's try that and what, and it's like, how can I even, how can I even put in words, or like, what do I show my resume? But I was never, I was never a copywriter. But let's see, maybe I can try, maybe I can. And sure enough, we started testing. It works really well. So I just want to use our own experience to show exactly how it works within the realm of this. So if you have a project, it's very easy to just copy this, link and basically send it with whoever you want, of your project. Let me just go. Sorry, just copy. If you go to your project, let's see. Just copy and basically share with your network, anybody in your network, and they can go to you and say, look through the roles and say, hey, I'm working on this little black mask. If you click on the team, you will see my required roles, and in required roles is, you'll see exactly which roles. You can go through every department, or you can go through all the roles, and you read which ones you like to help me with, and then we'll talk specifically about that role without wasting all these hours. And we don't know how often the person that we already know for years, a person from our family, I'm not even mentioning people that are on the platform, and we just started, really putting it, promoting more and more. But even within our existing networks, people can actually find the very same help that they've been looking for everywhere, the very same puzzle pieces, I'm going back to that terminology, that can help us start putting our ideas in motion. Or we could be those same puzzle pieces for someone and say, I can do that specific part and I can do it really well because I'm passionate, because I like what you do, because our compensation terms align, because we can figure it out how to, again, grow together and so on and so forth. And that's how we can bring amazing ideas kind of together. That's the reason for the name. We connect, we collaborate, we co-create. So this is for the, as far as the connection. And just one little thing that I wanted to show, going back to Cindy's profile here for a second. I just want to show to you that for the business owner, such as Jesse, you can just see what are the matches I'm going to show to you. Like, for example, if this little toggle here indicates the context, the matching, basically, and search and matching and chat context, if you indicate this as your so-called active project, because you can have 5 or 10 or 100, then the search and matching and everything is done specifically for that project. So I would go, says, oh, okay, so these are the matches here, and the roles are matches, and this is the objectives are the same. Great, wonderful. Let me see. Okay, for Marion Mosaic, it's one kind of type of matching. Let me go to the little black mask. How is Cindy in relation to my other business? Oh wow! So our, the things that's important for me is, say, music. It's also the passions. It's important. So you have more and more matching between my projects, one of my businesses, and a specific person. And basically, to bring it all together, the idea of WeCo, again, I will summarize it before we get to the questions and maybe some other comments. The idea of WeCo is to really pool all of our individual resources, nicely structure them, and package them literally in minutes. And our ideas also in minutes, because to launch a project here doesn't take too much time. But then I would encourage everybody to reevaluate, how do we, and make it, as we call it, a meditative experience. Again, how do we show up in the world? How do we want to be known without too many words, without too many things? And you can see my profiles, just when I have unlimited, like probably 40 different projects that are, different stages, because it's easy, because I have an idea. I don't think, oh, I wish this thing would existed. Our internal thing, no, just put it on WeCo. Because, for somebody, if I can be focused on WeCo, for example, building the main platform, but have an idea of a great, like, restaurant chain of a healthy food with coconuts, let's say, right? Okay, let it sit. It's available. It's publicly accessible. Once the right people will start putting, again, I'm not putting too much in today, not too much coming out of this, So today the platform works. Whatever you put in, that's how it will bring it back. I want to stress that. But as more and more people will be joining, somebody say, yeah, I love your idea. Let's start working on this, and so on. So that's really would conclude. Of course, we have the chat, and then for the ease of, for the ease of filling this out, um, we have the checklist. It's easy to just follow the checklist, and if you're anywhere you're lost or something, you can always click on the whatever they're crossed out, because we already finished those steps for this profile. And we always have like nice instructional videos for every topic. You can click on the question mark and basically view the videos. Again, it's not conventional, but it's pretty easy. And that's really it. I think there is a lot more information I can talk to about for forever, because this is my passion. I see it's already working for us. I see it's working for other people. I'm excited to introduce it to the rest of the world, and I'm open to questions and comments and challenges and and it's back to you, Cindy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Simon. I want to give you all like a real life, use of it. So So, well, you may not know, but I've had several businesses and I started them from like nothing. And being in ministry is a lot like running a business, right? There are all of these different moving pieces and parts, and some of them I love and some of them I really don't like. I'm the one that gets paid, so I end up doing all of these things that are really not in my wheelhouse. And the same was true when I was, an entrepreneur starting my businesses. I did everything. Simon breezed into our lives as I was speaking about, creating a directory of service providers and this whole barter idea and all of these ideas we have with the hub. And he showed up and he's like, well, I have the platform that you're talking about already. And so we connected, and there are things that are in my wheelhouse that are not in his, and vice versa. And he's an excellent business coach. But right away, from just looking at the infinity symbol, right, the platform, and all of these different areas that we know that we need whenever we're doing a project, whether we're running an organization, starting a business, whatever, you need your legal people, you need your finance, you need your marketing, you need all of those pieces and parts. And so to be able to collaborate with people who have these different pieces and parts that I don't have, that they really enjoy, is just remarkable. It really is just a beautiful platform to be able to support one another. Everybody brings their skills and their talents and their passions to the projects that they're working on. And so I just think it's amazing. And what happened for us is I was helping Simon because I have community already. He's not had a community where he could actually launch this. You've got people now in WeCo that are like all over the world, all scattered all over. But this would be potentially a group of people that know each other, that are in kind of the same vicinity, that we could help one another. And so I've been planning and working with Simon and Emily and doing my piece, and then he asked me, well, what do you need so that you can do this better? I'm like, well, I'm working on my my newsletter, and it really is not my favorite thing to do, and I would love to hand it off to somebody. He's like, hand it over here, we got you. And it was just like, wow, that was so easy. That was so easy. And I can breathe a little better knowing that that's getting done and that they enjoy doing it. I'm not putting it off on somebody else. And so just so many benefits to this. As I said, another thing, a paradigm shift that I have made, and I don't know, I know some of you are entrepreneurs and have your own businesses, how hard it is to do everything. And we beat ourselves up when we don't do certain things well. At least I did. I did. And so this has given me a new outlook. Like, you know what? I don't have to learn bookkeeping if I don't like bookkeeping. I don't want to do that. Why not give it to somebody else who really loves it? And then they're bringing that joy and that passion to my project. And I get to do the same for other people's projects. So I just think it's a really wonderful, very practical way to build community, to have people share their gifts, and make everybody's projects and work that much better. So that's been my experience with it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And yeah, so the only thing that I'm just thinking, even for the community, specifically for the community leaders, this is going back a little bit to my why, or leading the business. I would love, always like to know what are the other functions that my business, in my people in my business or within the community, what are all of their ideas, what are all of their functions? Because again, we kind of tend to have the same conversations, but once you have their profile up, and it's like, oh wow, I didn't know that you can do this, or I didn't know that you're passionate about this, or it opens up so many possibilities. And the beauty of launching it here within this Center of Spirit, CSL Ocala, really it helps people who already know each other. And we have Jen, if I may mention you here, right? It's just hi. Jen was just, no, it's just like one of the, again, it just happened a couple of weeks ago, really, when we had this interview at the center, and Jen is like, yeah, I'm kind of have been thinking because I've been. Jen, can you wave if I can tell a little bit your story, or maybe you can? Yeah, no, it just was like it's just such a touching thing when person says, you know what, forever, like I've been wanting to become a death doula, and it's just like there's been, I like it, and I like helping people, and I like it, and I got it all figured out in my head and whatever. But meantime, I'm doing something that I don't particularly enjoy, and or whatever. It's just like, and it's just so much more passion that I can put into this death doula thing, and it's so noble and so perfect. And then, we started working together, and Jen is like, yeah, I'm just doing this. And then a week later, just 1 week later, we have this circle, at the center, and Jen is like already introduced. And I said, Jen, you already know the fact that you already signed up and you're already doing this, you're not at the point of thinking whether you're doing this or not. You're past that point. You are already doing this. And a week later, Jen introduces her. Okay, I'm a deaf dual. That's what I do. This is my workshop. In a couple of weeks, please join my workshop. Everything is this. And I was like, whoa. And this is really, if you ask about my true why, is to see the stories like this, that somebody just like been wanting something, and just this one nudge and say, yeah, maybe like just one little understanding that it's not that difficult if you truly start focusing on the things that you have, and passions, and your desire, and all of the other skills you didn't even know that you possess, and start putting them together and say, oh yeah, let me just introduce it to others. The parts that I don't know how to do, it's not a big deal. There's always somebody around me that can help me with that.
I'd like to add, Simon, that when I did the compatibility test, the WeCo test, I thought I knew my skills and my stuff, and I realized, like, wow, I had a very narrow view of what marketing was, and I realized that I have more skills than what I thought I had in that area. So that was eye-opening as well, that like you said earlier, we don't have to get stuck in the boxes, or, I've done this for years and years and years, that you have to keep doing that this is a way to really tap into your passions and your gifts in a way maybe that you had not been able to do otherwise, and be able to share that with other people.
Yep.
So I'm wondering if we have any questions. Maybe we do. Let's see. Any questions? Great explanation. Purnima had to leave. Okay. Sorry, Purnima. Does anyone have any questions about this?
Any
Jesse?
comments? Yeah.
Does it
questions or comments?
Oh, I have a question. Does it automate suggest people or find people for you if you're not searching them to see what you have in common? Would it possibly suggest things or people where you have a lot of things in common to bring them to your attention?
Like specifically the percentage of matching?
I don't know, maybe. If that makes sense.
There
Yeah.
is a little.
I mean, there
Yes.
might be a lot of people that we would never know to look for, and then maybe, could it suggest them? I don't know. That's the thought.
I see what you're saying. This function is not. I mean, you can see there is a place where you can see is people that apply to your project or people that you want to invite. You can see the percentage of matching. Like, what is the percent? 100 usually it's 30%, 40%. It gives this cumulative basically percentage of matching. That's what it is today. But definitely, it's we'll be developing suggestions based on the next level. Yep.
We had a question from Manal. How many users do we have?
So we have about 70 users right now that are active. We're just like starting really, we're starting testing, and that.
Rev Ed and George want to know if there are any grant writers presently in the organization, on the platform yet. Grant writers.
Grant writers, not that I know of. Nobody that I can. You can do the search. Let me see.
But I have one in mind. I will talk to the person I have in mind.
Okay, yeah,
I do. I have one. So then you start thinking about people that you want to do business with.
Not only
people
that,
you would want to collaborate with, right?
Not only that, yeah, that's one type of it. The other one is that I want to mention, because it's still in this like early public launch. I've been testing it again and kind of using it for our own purposes and individual, like very closed beta stealth cases. But right now we're very, we're following like who registers and what people need, and we put that much more. If you can just mute yourself, if we can put that much more effort, if you really let us know. Again, I don't want to put any guarantees that we will help you, but of course it's in our interest today to if a project specifically is looking for someone, then of course, and if there are a lot of demands like this, then of course it's in our best interest to go to that community or to grant writers, and to start kind of putting more effort. So think of it as, I don't want to represent this part or promise you, but it's in our best interest today to facilitate that matching. But what WeCo does well today is for everyone to establish your needs, your roles, the needs, or professional, what you can bring to the table, and even within your own network, start already filtering in compatible people and filtering out incompatible people. Just this is what it does today. Getting people to know, I think, I want to say shortly, but I don't want to represent it. More people will be joining, more matches will be happening.
We're just like it's the grounds level kind of, right? The more people join this, the more talents and things that we'll be able to share with one another and different projects and things. Can you put up the QR code for
Sure,
people?
of course. Yeah,
there is a cost, right, for being on the platform.
Yep.
And it's generally $20 a month.
Yeah, it's $20 a month, and yeah, then just
so
get it here.
With the code that's in the
Ocala,
chat, that if you use code Ocala, then it's $15 a month.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Is that forever, 25 off forever?
Yes.
And there's no contracts or nothing like that anybody has to worry, right? Yeah.
And we intentionally, again, we said for all the value that the idea was for me to create something that I would have been able to use. That's really because I've gone through my trials and tribulations. I wish there would be a platform that would help me to crystallize what I'm good at, what I want to be doing this, how to find these people, who else I even need. Like all those, you learn them hard way, and you lose years and years often to do this. And here it's like you have it right in front of you. So.
Mm-hmm.
So let me see if there are other questions there.
Yeah, Michelle said, I like this not necessarily for building business or finding employment, but building community of like minds. And I love that.
Yeah.
Right, a community of like-minded people.
It's a very, like, WeCo was meant to be a very versatile, really versatile platform. If you see that it can community of like minds, great. For other people, it works to build their businesses. For somebody, it does feel like, okay, it's a great starting point. Because nobody cares about my resume. I want to, to find a different avenue, or for somebody who is just getting out of college, out of school, or trying to reinvent themselves, or people are retiring and trying to do something or whatever. There are so many different circumstances that you can try it for, really, as your really starting point, and even reach out again within your community and say, okay, these are all the different things that I care for and would like to do. Is there anyone that you guys have like opportunities for me? Even I'm saying it could be a use case as well. So any other, let me just see some in the chats.
Nice. Any other questions?
Let's see.
Comments?
What's the plan? Sorry, I'm going to just quickly ask a question. That's okay.
Sure.
I'm going to use my hand. What's your plan on scaling this?
The plan of scaling? It's what, can you be specific?
How do you go from 70 users on April 2nd to 7,000 on April 5th?
They say nothing is nothing is nothing is worse than well-promoted bad product. We want to have a controlled growth. We want to make sure that people that are signing up today, because the idea is not to have 7,000. The idea is that Jen, who is here on the call, and Renee and some other people that already signed up, that they're using it to the best. And we have, we slowly want to introduce people to make sure, because it's something new. We don't want to blast it out and then deal with all the consequences if something doesn't really work individually for people. So we want to have a control. So it's more of a tribal growth than a viral growth, if you will. So we really want to make sure that people get the value and then themselves start promoting. That's the idea, not to just go and blasting it all out. We're not there yet, and it's a controlled growth, because a lot of good ideas exploded because of they've over blasted themselves. Did it answer your question?
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions or comments? Okay.
Do you all see the use? Do you see the potential for it?
James, anything you want to share? I see you nodding. Are you muted?
No, I was just agreeing that it
Okay.
seems like, well, just a comment. It seems like it's very user-friendly, but also encourages people to have their authenticity flow and then match the authenticities together. And that feels very important. I don't know of any other tools that are this easy to use and are this, I'm going to say it this way. There's a background of integrity that's flowing from the concept, flowing from you and your daughter. And also there's a background of integrity for having folks share from themselves authentically and have other people be able to hear that sharing and then come together inside that background of integrity.
I appreciate this. It means the world, really. Thank you, James. Because that's what it's, that's why it's been in stealth mode for years. It needed to simmer like a good thing. It needed the test of years sometimes, that it works, that because it's important for all of us to really come together in our own crazy, if you will, ways, or authentic ways, and just say, yeah, that's me, and I want to do good for the world, and I I'm just this one little piece of a puzzle, and this is what I'm doing, and including everyone on the team. We're just one person each, but together we are doing some, awesome things, and we enjoy the process. We enjoy each other's company. We enjoy what's been happening, and the joy that is bringing to other people is like, what else can you dream, especially in this crazy world, right?
Yes.
Any other comments? Thank you, James. I really appreciate it.
Hey, this is Elgin. I think that it also has a place when you consider that there is inevitably going to be quite a bit of displacement in the job market in the next 3 to 5 years due to technologies. But having a place where people can go and collaborate, and even like you mentioned earlier about potentially bartering, it's going to be a way to launch a lot of ideas, because one of the things I see is people are absolutely wearing themselves out trying to be the butcher, the baker, and the candlestick maker. So this could really go a long way to help them with that.
Thank you. That's exactly. It's one of the truth be, again, I'll just comment on that. It's I'm going back to the imagination, and I like what Albert Einstein said, that like sometimes imagination is better than education. That education teaches us certain things, but then we learn those paradigms, and it's difficult to imagine what it's outside of those paradigms, even when they don't work. We're kind of forced to go back. Here, it's always was to, okay, what would be nice, like what would it be like if, when people just, so so I took my business experience and innate just interest and curiosity about psychology and philosophy and everything else and economics. And really the idea was to bring it all together into something that will be functional, not just as a lecture, not as a video, not even as a book, which again, it has, all of this has place. For me, it was important to create a tool, because once you already put your hands on the tool and your brain around the tool, then it's like, oh yeah, that's how it works. It's actually, yeah, that makes, and of course, and it's getting improved from every person who uses it. Just say, oh, is that something that could be, and then that's how we get already as a community get to improve. It just starts with the first steps, and that's how all the great ideas basically start. Instead of sitting and waiting, say, yeah, if I feel like nobody's building it, let me be the guy, or let me be the gal. It's like, it's, what else is there to do? I can't sit and listen for the news. They make me depressed. I don't want to be depressed because time is ticking. That's the most important thing. That's, interestingly enough, we never mentioned this in this call, but really, while everything is happening, our time on Earth, this Earth is ticking, and I think for me personally, I just want to do the most that I can to be a contributor, to be a solutioner in this world, not a perpetuator of problems. That's just my personal choice. Aside from non-platforms or whatever the things that I do, they already stem from that.